Wellwood beautifully points out to renunciation, our topic for today, and we'll just touch on a few things. A quote from Thich Nhat Hanh on letting go. He says, letting go. Buddhism teaches that joy and happiness arise from letting go. Please sit down and take an inventory of your life. There are things you've been hanging on to that really are not useful and deprive you of your freedom. Find the courage to let them go. Yeah. I'll share a brief experience I had on Sunday morning. I went to the Death Cafe on Saturday afternoon at someone's house, similar to the ones we do here. And, it was a wonderful experience talking with some people I'd never met before about death and getting ready, and just not something you normally talk about. But here we were for 2 solid hours. Lovely. Went home, and then Sunday morning I woke up to brush my teeth and opened the drawer on the right of my sink. And that drawer for years has had some stuff in the back of it that is quote unquote too important to let go of. And that morning, literally out of the blue, I just said, goodness gracious, what am I hanging on to that for? And that corner of the drawer is now cleared out from this contemplation of death, of mortality. So, but we're talking today about renunciation, and what that was a little bit different, but I wanted to just share it because there's this, when we practice renunciation, and I'll talk about it a little bit more because it's a practice in Buddhism. I'll talk about it in a second, but I wanted to point out that sometimes when you're going through life and something occurs to you, like you see something and suddenly you get it, there's a mental shift and you get it, and it allows you some sense of inner freedom. And I share this just so that you, can keep your senses open to these precious moments that we get if we know that they're there and if we're looking for them. And one story that Ajahn Chah shared on a Dharma talk I listened to a few weeks ago kind of elucidated this idea of just suddenly knowing something, and then you're like, oh, I get it, and I can let go. And he shares this story where, say there's a man who lives in your neighborhood, and he walks up to your house every day and is shouting at you. He's being a real jerk, and he's being mean to you, and you're just like, who is this guy? And you're really upset and offended. This goes on for days, and you're getting more and more upset. And then one day the neighbor walks by and is like, hey, has the madman come up to your house? That guy is, do you know he's actually, mentally unstable, and he's not actually talking to you. He's just talking to his mental affliction. And you're like, oh, because before that you thought he was coming at you with his anger or whatever it was. And as soon as you find out that he's actually just a madman, you release all of this upset and anger that you've had in yourself. And so that little insight that you got now allows you to see things in a different way. So renunciation, so this idea of giving something up, right? Up until I became a person who studies Buddhist teachings, don't know when that moment was, but up until then, I always thought of giving renunciation as like Lent. All my Catholic friends would give stuff up for Lent. And I kind of was a little bit jealous because it seemed kind of cool. Like my friends would be like, oh, I'm giving up chocolate, or I can't have dessert for these 40 days. giving something up. And the funny thing is, usually, well, at that point in your life, you're young, you're a little bit not thinking about things the same way, but usually everybody given up whatever they were giving up, but hadn't let go of it. So it was kind of a misery, 40 days of kind of misery. So in the Buddhist practice, we look at renunciation as a practice. It's a way to get in touch with things that are going to be supportive to us. So it's not a hardship. It's not a deprivation. It's not repression. It's not denial. It's an experiment. It's a practice. And some of the things that people give up, examples of things we might be talking about here, would be like a habit, like playing the Wordle game, the New York Times Games Suite, or online gambling, maybe. Giving up pleasures like dessert, or giving up wine, giving up possessions, maybe you have a lot of shoes, more shoes than anyone could ever need. So giving up some of those, or giving up your car, downsizing, giving up space, giving up viewpoints, maybe giving up hating on things, certain things. So I'm sure there's things that come to your mind that could be given up. And I'm going to jump over to a great, well, no, I'll get to that in a minute. So in Buddhism, this renunciation is really it's like a practice, and it's something that's supposed to bear fruit. And so when thinking about this word, instead of thinking about that, like the whole denial and repression and, that kind of negative thought process, like think about it in terms of this. Think about it as, in the renunciation, as less is more. Think about it as letting go on purpose. Like Thich Nhat Hanh says, letting go to be free. Think about it as clearing space in your heart so that you can connect with your natural inner resources. Think about it as simplicity. Renunciation is simplicity. A movement towards non-addiction. And by the way, addiction is commonly thought of drugs and alcohol, or sex or gambling. Yes. And there's also addiction to thought processes or viewpoints, getting attached to our opinions and wanting to be right. So anyway, think of renunciation as removing distractions, a way to get to know what really matters in your life. So we live in this world where we're kind of brainwashed, right? Accumulation is happiness. Like you've seen the Amazon trucks with their new-ish logos that drive me insane. Contents may cause happiness. Has anyone seen that? Oh, God. That's the newest logo that they rolled out on the Amazon trucks. Contents may cause happiness. So if you ever see an Amazon truck that's been graffitied and says, contents may cause clinging, which causes suffering, you will know that was me. Don't call me in, please. But no, it was me. Oh. Because what's valued in our culture is more money, more power, more praise, more sex, more food, more beauty, more. And if you reflect on the times when you were happiest in your life, like maybe there was some instances, chances are they had nothing to do with stuff. In fact, they probably had to do with an absence of stuff. Like I reflect on my own life, a legendary motorcycle trip I took with a friend for 2 months with nothing but could fit in those little bags that they have on the side. And day after day with no stuff, just life. And what happiness, what simplicity. So thinking about that. Even when we go on vacation, we give ourselves a nice vacation. Yes, there's no work. Like if you're a working person, that's a great part of it. But there's also no stuff, no home, no car, no identity. Like people even don't even know you, so you're just really free. And so renunciation is this practice where we say, let's give up something and see how that feels and see what that discomfort is and lean into that. Because at the heart of that is this craving that we have. At the heart of renunciation is kind of leaning into letting go of, as Nadine's poem pointed to, letting go of some worldly pleasure, something that we think that, well, we know it causes temporary pleasure, but a long-term happiness, no. So we pick something and we give it up. And a great way to do this is to make yourself a list. Go do it today. Three categories. What do I want more of in my life? What do I want less of in my life? And what do I want the same amount of in my life? And these have to be really specific personal activities, right? It has to be something that's really specific to you and your life. It can't be, I want more world peace, because that's not tangible. Or I want better health. I think we all do. But specific things like, I want more gardening, more resting, more reading, more conversations with certain people, more eating more vegetables, whatever it is. Like very specific activities. What do I want more of in my life? So, then what do I want less of in my life? Maybe I want less of looking at things online. Maybe I want less watching news or less interactions with certain people, less ice cream, less wine. What are those things that you want less of? And then the third category is super important. What do I want the same of? These things in my life are in balance, and it's very wholesome, good, important, and right to recognize those things in your life that are in balance and working and good. It is wholesome to reflect upon this every day. It is goodness to do that. So category 3 is super important. But you can see where I'm going with this, right? Now you can pick from column number 2, what do I want less of in my life? And usually those less of things that I want are things that are like they're somehow connected to craving. I want less of going online for X, Y, or Z. Because you can sense something there. It's like, it feels like, oh, it's a waste of time, but I just do it because, I don't know why, because it kind of feels right in the moment, but then you're kind of, doesn't feel right on some deeper level. And that touches into the second noble truth. The source of our suffering is our craving. We crave these like short-term fixes. And these short-term fixes, they follow this little bit of a wave pattern. Like there's sort of this whole anticipation portion, which can be a little bit long, like, oh, I'm going to go play the New York Times games, sweet, soon, coming. And then you get that hit of pleasure when you do it. Oh, perfect, you did perfect. You're the top scorer, blah. And then sort of this dissipation, this kind of like, you don't even notice it after it's done. And it's great. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying that. It's a very benign thing to be addicted to and craving, because it's good for your brain health and whatnot. But you can sense with mindfulness when something now is becoming an intrusion into your peace of mind. When you apply mindfulness. So you take one thing, two things, whatever, on what I want less of, and you decide to give it up, and you give it up with mindfulness. So you don't give it up without mindfulness, because then you're in denial mode, and now you've pushed the dead mouse under the rug, and it's just going to fester there. Not good. So you want to observe yourself with mindfulness. So in this instance, I can point to eating sweets and things, because I had a long-standing addiction to that. So you lean into, okay, so when that urge comes, you're kind to yourself, you lean into it, and then you explore what's really at play here. What am I really longing for? What's the real pain in me right now that wants to be cared for? That's the practice of renunciation. That's so wholesome. When you can be with yourself as a friend, as a caring observer in this experience of renunciation, then it'll bear fruit for you. And by the way, it's not a quick fix. It's not going on a diet. It's something that you commit to for kind of a long period of time, so you can observe what's the pattern here. So run the experiment. Run the experiment.